What's good, YouTube? This video is going to be about a huge dating red flag. But first, I want to talk to you about today's sponsor, Iris Dating. Now, I've already told you about Iris Dating, but now Iris aims to be the world's most trusted dating community by creating an incentive system that will actually reward members for being honest and decent about what they want. That's right, it will actually reward members for being transparent, and they plan to do this with the new trust rating, a scoring mechanism that measures each member's contribution to the community. Members who invest the time to create a thorough and compelling profile and who are respectful in their interactions with other members will receive a higher trust rating. Jerks, F-boys, and assholes will actually get a lower score and risk being banned from the site because they usually don't go through the trouble of being vulnerable, open, or honest about what they want, or having respectful interactions with other people on sites. Once enough information is gathered about a person's patterns, you'll actually be able to see their trust rating on their profile. So you could choose to talk to them or not talk to them based on their reputation on the site. If you're tired of guys dropping out of conversations after a very low effort message, they actually track that as well. The trust rating actually catches people who have an above average propensity not to reply after being matched with the person. It also pictures heavy filters, thirst trapping, generic low effort profile descriptions, and many other things that annoy people on dating sites. So if you're tired of having the same irritating experience across multiple dating apps, you might want to give Iris a try. Now onto this topic. So back to this huge dating red flag that women often miss and are sometimes even attracted to. And that red flag is this: when a guy's friends and families don't want him around, or he's falling out with everyone who should naturally be inclined to love him. That's a huge red flag. But some women are attracted to them because they have a savior mentality and a broken bird syndrome. And other women just don't notice it until it's too late. Be very careful dating guys who have a lot of burnt bridges, tumultuous experiences, and rocky relationships, especially with friends and family, people who should love them by nature, people who already have been in their circle, already have been in their presence, know more about them than you do. A lot of women step into a relationship with a guy and they notice that things are in shambles in his life and they try to upgrade him, they try to build him up, they try to save him from his life. Even though they don't know why he's there. They don't know what led to him being in this place. All they get is his side of the story, and everybody's wronged him. Law 10 of the 48 Laws of Power states, to avoid the unhappy and the unlucky, and if I might add, avoid becoming one as well. You want to avoid these people sometimes because these people are actually more likely to bring you down than you are to lift them up. People of all types have tried before you to bring them up, to brighten their life, to pull them out of dark places. But some people, through their own issues, through their own disobedience, through their own rebellion, can't escape the condition of their lives. Attaching yourself to a person whose life is in shambles will more often than not start to destroy your life by association, by proximity. It's one thing to help someone. It's another thing to stand way too close to the fire. I can't tell you how many women I've spoken to who got involved with a guy with a bunch of issues because they wanted to help him. They wanted to save him. Oh, poor him. Nobody understood him. He was so misunderstood. They're going to go save him. They're going to help him through this. 6 months later, I talked to that same woman and she's inherited all his issues and debt and beefs and disagreements and reputation. Some people will destroy everything you built if you stand too close. So be very, very careful about being around people who haven't been able to control their own affairs, especially throughout middle adulthood. Somebody's over 30 and they still have this broken relationship issue and these burnt bridges all around them, then they haven't learned the lessons necessary to grow into a new place. You don't want to be the person that they burn next. So that's reason number one. But also reason number two, you have to remember his friends and his family know things about him that you don't know. When you first meet a guy, it's very easy to assume that everything he says is correct and true, that it's genuine. But we must always remember there are always two sides to every story. And if he's beefing with 2 or 3 people, then that's 3 or 4 sides to every single story that you haven't heard. The people who love him or have loved him, the people who have had a natural reason to care about the result of his life and his experience have tried and failed to help him, to assist him, to join him in his journey. They have information. They know things that you don't know. So when you meet a guy and everything around him is broken and all the bridges around him are burnt, don't assume that everyone else is wrong. Don't assume that everyone else just didn't understand him. Many of these people have tried. Many of these people have really loved him. Many of these people have sacrificed and suffered trying to figure out how to help this person or be in this person's life. And it has done more harm to them than good. So when people finally take their space, when they finally separate, while he might victimize himself, while in all the stories he might be the one who was wronged, you have to remember that there are other things at play, that there are greater complexities that he's not giving you. Sometimes I wish women did exit interviews on friends, on family members, on old girlfriends that a guy had. Because if you knew what he did to other people, if you knew what type of life he provided for his last girlfriend, if you knew what type of bond or relationship he had broken in his family relationship dynamic or his friendships, if you knew how those things really crumbled, you'd be probably more avoidant at talking to him. You'd probably be packing your bags and heading for the hills. But instead, you're patting him on the back trying to figure out how to get some money out of your bank account. How to make him feel better about some shit that he did to somebody else. How to understand a chronically misunderstood individual. You can jump in front of that bullet if you want to, but I don't want any of my clients doing it. I never suggest that people join someone in misery. The term is happily ever after. When you find someone in misery, help them if you can, but don't make it your job. And don't attach yourself to a person's miserable life and try to intervene and save them if they haven't done the work to save themselves. There's a difference between someone just going through a storm and a person actually being the storm. Too often, we look at a person and we say, oh man, they're going through it. When really, they are it. They are the storm. They are the tornado. They are the wrecking ball. Be very careful about just believing what people say about why their lives are in shambles when you meet them. Be very, very careful and move slowly with those people, man or woman. Now again, I always address women because they are my primary audience, but this goes both ways. The third reason you don't really want to do this is because this is a sign that he hasn't served his relationships well. You are more likely to be a victim than you are a victor in dealing with this person. Again, great relationships, stable relationships are a sign of maturity, are a sign of trustworthiness, are a sign of character and integrity. People who've known you for a long time still trust you, still love you, still deal with you, still recommend you to other people, still would reference you in a positive light. That says that you served your relationships well. When you meet a man who has no one, zero, zilch, nada, I don't know all the fucking zeros in every language, but nobody to love him, nobody to trust him, nobody to help him, nobody that cares for him, it tells me that he hadn't served his relationships well and that he hasn't grown and matured enough to do any better than he has already done. And yes, at one point, if he does grow or mature, he will treat the first person well. But do you really want to test that theory? Do you really need to be that first person? I'd like a person to get some practice being shit or being a good person, a good individual. I'd like a person to be very well versed in integrity and character before I get into their lives, before I jump in and try to add my 2 cents or help them. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, there was this term, super save-a-hoe. And it just was talking about a guy who was trying to save a woman who was promiscuous and not worth the trouble. A lot of times women have a super save-a-hoe mentality when they approach these guys. They approach these guys in and out of jail, in and out of court, in and out of bankruptcy, in and out of financial ruin, in and out of issues with their parents, their moms, their friends, in and out of beef on the street. And they want to save these guys. They want to help these guys. But these guys have set their path. A lot of times what you're watching and what you're coming up on is a man's karma getting him back. Is a man's karma giving him the energy that he has given to the world. And you're trying to step in and interrupt that karma, and you're going to catch that bullet. What we're often witnessing is people getting what they deserve. So be very careful, keep your distance, make sure you know why a person's life is in shambles. It's not just bad luck. It's not just a coincidental string or of years that are shitty for a person. If a person hasn't been able to get themselves together, get themselves to be in a decent place, if a grown-ass man is back at home and he doesn't get along with anybody and he's fighting with the boyfriend of the mom that he's staying with that is trying to be the man of the house, but you got this big 30-something-year-old man still living at home with his mama because he couldn't get his shit together financially, energetically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. You come in and try to save this man, what are you going to do with this guy? His mom couldn't do it. What makes you think you can save him? His last girlfriend couldn't save him. His friends couldn't save him. Everybody around him is leaving. Everybody around him is walking away. Maybe they have a reason. Do your investigations, do your due diligence, and do your research before you add yourself to a man's life, especially if his life it looks to be tumultuous, it looks to be toxic, it looks to be harmful, it looks to be in ruin. Least you ruin your own life trying to save his and be run over and backstabbed for your troubles. Anyway, some of y'all needed to hear that. That's all I got for now. Follow me at KFA24 on Instagram. Don't forget to check out Iris's link in the link below. I'll get with y'all later.